The snow was falling thick over the Fraser Valley that December evening, the kind of heavy, wet snow that muffles everything and makes the world feel smaller, more intimate. I stood at the window of my daughter's farmhouse, watching the white blanket cover the fields, and I should have felt at peace. Christmas was 2 days away. My daughter Sarah was getting married in the spring. Everything should have been perfect, but 30 years with the RCMP teaches you to trust your gut. And my gut had been screaming at me about Marcus Chen for months. I heard laughter from the kitchen behind me, Sarah's bright, musical laugh that reminded me so much of her mother. Marcus's deeper chuckle followed. They were making butter tarts together, some tradition Marcus claimed his grandmother had taught him. Everything about Marcus was perfect, too perfect. He was a financial advisor from Vancouver, well-dressed, well-spoken, with impeccable manners. He'd swept Sarah off her feet at a charity gala 18 months ago. She was 42, had never been married, focused on building her veterinary practice in Abbotsford. When Marcus came along, she bloomed like she'd been waiting her whole life for him. And maybe that's what bothered me. The timing, the perfection, the way he'd appeared exactly when Sarah had inherited her mother's estate, the farmhouse, the land, and $300,000 in savings. My late wife, Margaret, had carefully tucked away over decades of frugal living. "Dad, you're brooding again," Sarah called from the kitchen. "Come help us. Marcus is teaching me the secret to his grandmother's tart recipe." I forced a smile and turned from the window. "I'll leave the baking to the experts. I'm going to grab some more firewood." Outside, the cold bit at my face, but it felt good. Clean, real. I walked toward the woodshed, my boots crunching in the fresh snow, when I heard voices from the mudroom. Marcus, on his phone, speaking low. The mudroom window was cracked open despite the cold. Unusual. I stopped. Old habits. "I told you, it's all lined up," Marcus's voice, but different, harder. The smooth, educated tone was gone, replaced by something rough, impatient. "The wedding's in April. I'll have access to everything by May. The farm's worth at least $800,000, maybe $1 million if we're patient. But we're not being patient. Soon as the papers are signed, we liquidate everything." My blood went cold, but I didn't move. Every instinct I'd honed over 3 decades of investigations locked me in place. Silent, listening. "What about the old cop?" Another voice, male, on speakerphone. "Her dad's RCMP, retired, but still." Marcus laughed. It wasn't a nice sound. He's 71 and half senile. Spends his time staring out windows and talking about the old days. Sarah thinks he's getting early dementia. She's actually grateful I'm patient with him. It's perfect. The anger that flared in my chest was white hot, but I kept absolutely still. Senile. That's what he'd told her. That's why she'd been looking at me with such pity lately. Why she'd gently suggested I might want to talk to someone about my memory. "And Sarah?" the voice on the phone asked. "She suspects anything?" "Sarah's a brilliant veterinarian, and the most naive woman I've ever met. She actually believes I love her," he snorted. "She's desperate, really. 42, never married, daddy issues because mommy died and left her all alone with the old man. She practically threw herself at me. This is almost too easy." "Like the last one?" "Easier. Jennifer in Calgary was always asking questions. And that property was only worth 400. This is more than double. Plus, Sarah already put me on her bank accounts for emergencies. By the time anyone figures out what happened, we'll be in Costa Rica with new names and about $1.2 million. What about the prenup her dad's been pushing?" Marcus laughed again. "I've got her convinced that prenups mean I don't trust her, that it would hurt our foundation of love. She told him she's not signing one. Poor old bastard nearly had a stroke, but what's he going to do? She stopped listening to him months ago. I made sure of that." My hands clenched into fists, the woodpile forgotten. I stood there in the falling snow, listening to this parasite dissect my daughter's vulnerabilities like a surgeon planning an amputation. "When do you move the money?" "I'll start small transfers next week. She won't notice. Then bigger chunks after the wedding. By July, the accounts will be empty, the farm will be listed, and we'll be gone. She'll come home from work one day and find a note. Maybe. I haven't decided if she deserves even that much. Cold man, even for you." It's business, Tommy. This is what I do. Sarah's number 4. Each one gets easier. Number 4. The call ended. I heard Marcus moving, his footsteps heading back toward the kitchen. I forced myself to walk to the woodshed, load my arms with logs, and take deep, steady breaths. My heart was hammering, but my mind was crystal clear, not senile, not even close. I walked back into the house through the front door, stamping snow off my boots loudly, giving Marcus time to resettle in the kitchen. When I entered, he was back at the counter with Sarah, all smiles, his arm around her waist. "There's Dad," Sarah said, her eyes bright. "We saved you a tart to try. Still warm." I took the pastry she offered, bit into it, and met Marcus's eyes. He smiled at me with what looked like genuine warmth. If I hadn't just heard that conversation, I'd never have known. "Delicious," I said. "Your grandmother taught you well." "She was an amazing woman," Marcus said smoothly. "I wish Sarah could have met her." Liar. His grandmother probably didn't even exist. I excused myself early that evening, claiming I was tired. Sarah hugged me at the door, and I held her longer than usual. "You okay, Dad?" she asked softly. "Just thinking about your mother," I said, which was true. "She'd be so happy to see you this happy." "I miss her every day," Sarah whispered. "But Marcus helps. He's so good to me, Dad. I know you have your reservations, but please try to see what I see in him." I looked over her shoulder at Marcus, who was watching us with that perfect, concerned expression. "I'm trying, sweetheart," I said. "I really am." The drive back to my condo in Chilliwack took 40 minutes. I didn't turn on the radio. I needed to think. Number 4. He'd done this 3 times before. I pulled into my parking spot, but I didn't go inside. Instead, I sat in the truck, engine running for heat, and pulled out my phone. There were favors I could call in, people who owed me, and some who simply respected 30 years of good work. My first call was to Bill Davidson, who'd worked white-collar crime for 20 years before retiring to Vancouver Island. "James Thornton," Bill said when he answered. "To what do I owe the pleasure? It's been, 3 years? I need a favor, Bill. A big one. Name it. I need you to find a ghost. Man named Marcus Chen, about 40, claims to be a financial advisor from Vancouver. I need to know if that's his real name, and I need to know his history." There was a pause. "This official? Personal. It's about Sarah." Another pause. Bill had met my daughter a few times at retirement parties. "Say no more. Give me 48 hours. My second call was to Emma Reeves, who'd worked fraud division and now did private investigation work. "Emma, it's James Thornton." "James, how's retirement treating you?" "It was great until about 2 hours ago. I need some surveillance work. Discreet. Can you get up to Abbotsford?" "For you?" "Absolutely. What am I looking at?" "A man named Marcus Chen. I'll send you his photo and information. I need to know where he goes, who he meets, what he does when he's not with my daughter." "Oh." Her tone shifted, became professional. "How soon?" "Yesterday. I'll start tomorrow morning." I made 4 more calls that night. By the time I finally went inside, it was past midnight, but I had a network activating. People who knew how to dig, how to watch, how to find things people wanted hidden. The next morning, I drove back to Sarah's farmhouse. She was at the clinic, but Marcus was there. He answered the door in expensive loungewear, surprised to see me. "James, hi. Sarah's at work. Did she forget something?" "No, I just wanted to drop off some of Margaret's old photo albums. Thought Sarah might want to look through them, maybe find some for the wedding." "That's thoughtful." He took the box I'd brought, actually filled with old albums. This had to look real. "Come in. Have some coffee." I followed him inside. This was reconnaissance. I needed to see how he lived, what he was really doing here. The house looked different. Subtle changes. Some of Margaret's decorations were gone. "Updating for the new year," Marcus explained when he caught me looking. Sarah wanted a fresh start. Liar. Sarah would never get rid of her mother's things. We sat at the kitchen table. Marcus made small talk about the wedding, the honeymoon to Italy he was planning, how excited he was to make Sarah happy. "You know," I said carefully, I worked fraud cases for about 5 years, middle of my career. Marcus's smile didn't waver. Really? That must have been interesting. It was. You know what I learned? The best con artists are the ones who make the victim feel like they're the one in control. Make them think it's all their idea. Fascinating. His tone was polite, but his eyes had sharpened. They create dependency. Isolate the target from family, friends. Make the target doubt the people who actually care about them. Sounds manipulative, Marcus said smoothly. Terrible people. The worst, I agreed. But they usually slip up eventually. There's always a trail, always a pattern. We held eye contact for a long moment. Well, Marcus said, standing, I should probably get ready. Meeting a client this afternoon. Financial advising, right? That's what you do? That's right. Which firm are you with again? Morrison Financial Group, downtown Vancouver. I filed that away. I'll let you get to it then. As I drove away, I called Emma. He said he works for Morrison Financial Group in Vancouver. Can you verify? On it. Bill called me that evening. James, we need to talk. Not on the phone. Can you meet me tomorrow? Where? That coffee shop we used to go to in New Westminster. You remember? I'll be there at 10. I barely slept that night. My mind was racing through possibilities, scenarios, dangers. But I kept coming back to Sarah's face, how happy she'd been making those butter tarts, how she'd looked at Marcus like he'd hung the moon. Bill was already at the coffee shop when I arrived, sitting in the back corner. He looked grim. That bad? I asked, sliding into the booth. Worse. He pushed a folder across the table. Marcus Chen is not his real name. Or rather, it is now, but it wasn't 6 years ago. He was born Michael Kowalski in Winnipeg, changed his name legally in 2019. I opened the folder. Photos, documents, news clippings. He's done this 4 times that I can confirm, Bill continued. Jennifer Patterson in Calgary, 2019. Married her, drained her accounts, about $400,000, and disappeared. She filed a police report, but by then he was gone. No charges ever stuck, because she'd willingly given him access to everything. My stomach turned. Amanda Rousseau in Regina, 2020. Same pattern. Got engaged. Never made it to the wedding, because he vanished 3 weeks before with $200,000 from her business accounts. Jesus. Stephanie Liu in Edmonton, 2022. This one got darker. She figured it out before the wedding. Confronted him. He got violent. Put her in the hospital. But she was too scared to press charges. And he disappeared anyway. She lost about $600,000 that time inheritance from her parents. I stared at the photos. Different hair, different style, but the same eyes, the same smile. And now Sarah, I said quietly. Now Sarah. James, this guy's not just a con artist. He's dangerous. Stephanie Liu's medical report is in there. Broken ribs, fractured jaw, concussion. If Sarah confronts him the wrong way, I flipped through the pages, my hands remarkably steady despite the rage building in my chest. There were statements from the other women, patterns of behavior, psychological profiles. Marcus Michael was a textbook psychopath, charming, calculating, completely without empathy. The problem, Bill said, is he's careful. Really careful. Everything's technically legal. He convinces them to give him access, to trust him, to push away anyone who questions him. By the time they realize what's happening, he's gone. No fraud charges stick because it's all voluntary. And he always picks women who are financially comfortable but emotionally vulnerable. Sarah, I said, 42, never married, just lost her mother. Perfect target. James, you can't just tell her. If he's following his pattern, he's already poisoned that well. She won't believe you. Worse, she'll tell him you're suspicious, and he'll either accelerate his timeline or hurt her and run. Exactly. I closed the folder. Then I won't tell her. But I'm not letting him do this to my daughter. Bill leaned forward. What are you planning? I'm going to give him exactly what he wants. Access to everything. Make him think he's won. And then I'm going to destroy him. James, I spent 30 years catching people like this, Bill. I know how they think. I know how they operate. And I know how to make a case that'll stick. Bill studied me for a long moment, then nodded slowly. What do you need? Everything in this folder, documented and verified. I need witness statements from the other women if they'll give them. I need his real financial records. And I need to know every move he makes. I'll get you the paper trail, but James, be careful. This guy's not just smart, he's ruthless. So am I. Over the next 3 weeks, I became the doting, slightly forgetful father-in-law that Marcus thought I was. I had dinner with them twice a week. I asked questions about the wedding, about their plans, about their future. I played my part perfectly, and while I played senile, my network worked. Emma confirmed that Morrison Financial Group had never heard of Marcus Chen. No one by that name worked there. She followed him to his client meetings, which were actually meetings with a man named Tommy Ng in various casino parking lots and cheap motels. Tommy had a record. Fraud, identity theft, money laundering. Bill got me everything. Bank records showing the exact pattern of transfers Marcus had done with his previous victims. Starting small, building up. Statements from Jennifer, Amanda, and Stephanie. Stephanie even agreed to testify if needed, though she was terrified. I coordinated with my old partner at the RCMP, Detective Sarah Chen, no relation, who worked financial crimes. Unofficially, she started building a case file. We'd need him to actually commit the fraud, she told me over coffee in early January. Right now, all we have is pattern and intent. What if we catch him in the act? If we can document him actually stealing funds, transferring money with intent to defraud, we'd have a case. But timing's everything. We move too soon, good lawyer gets it dismissed. Too late, and the money's gone to some offshore account we'll never recover. I've got an idea about that. In mid-January, I invited Sarah and Marcus to dinner at my condo. Over wine and pasta Margaret's recipe, which made Sarah tear up. I made an announcement. I've been thinking about the wedding, I said, and about Margaret. She'd want me to do something special for you two. Sarah reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Dad, you don't have to. I'm giving you $200,000, I said, for the wedding, the honeymoon, and to start your life together. Your mother would want you to have it. Sarah's eyes went wide. Dad, that's too much. It's sitting in my account doing nothing. I'm 71. What am I going to do with it? I want to see you enjoy it. I watched Marcus. His expression was perfectly calibrated surprise and gratitude, but I saw the calculation in his eyes. 200,000, on top of Sarah's 300,000 and the farm. His take just got significantly bigger. James, that's incredibly generous, Marcus said, his voice thick with false emotion. We can't possibly. You can and you will, I said firmly. I'll have my lawyer draw up the paperwork. The money will go into your joint account next week. Sarah cried and hugged me. Marcus shook my hand with both of his, playing the grateful son-in-law. Hook, set. That night, Emma called me. He met with Tommy Ng for 3 hours at a motel in Surrey. They were celebrating something. Lots of champagne visible through the window. Good, I said. Let him celebrate. The money went into Sarah and Marcus's joint account the following Tuesday. I made sure there were very specific conditions in the transfer paperwork conditions. Marcus would never bother to read carefully because he'd already dismissed me as senile. 2 days later, Emma reported that Marcus had started making transfers. Small ones at first, just like his pattern. 2,000 here, 5,000 there, to accounts that Bill's research showed were fronts. He's testing the waters, Bill said when I updated him, making sure no one's watching. In about 2 weeks, he'll start the big moves. I called Detective Chen. We're in motion. 2 weeks, maybe less. I'll have everything ready. But James, are you sure about this? If Sarah finds out what you're doing before we're ready, she won't. I've made sure of that. The hard part was watching Sarah. She was so happy, so excited about the wedding. She showed me invitation designs, talked about flowers and cake and the dress she'd chosen. Every time I saw her, I wanted to tell her everything, but I couldn't, not yet. Marcus kept up his act beautifully. He brought me groceries, fixed things around my condo, called me Dad with perfect sincerity. Once, he even sat with me for 2 hours, looking at old photo albums, asking questions about Margaret, about my career, about our family. If I hadn't known what he really was, I would have believed he cared. 10 days after I'd given them the money, Marcus made his first big transfer. $50,000 to an offshore account in the Cayman Islands. "We've got him," Detective Chen said. "But let's wait for more. Build an airtight case." Over the next week, Marcus transferred another $120,000. The accounts were carefully structured, moving money through multiple shells. But Bill had tracked every single one. Then, on a Friday afternoon, Sarah called me, crying, "Dad, I don't know what to do. There's money missing from our account. A lot of money. Marcus says it's a banking error. But Dad, it's over $100,000. How does that just disappear?" My heart clenched. "Where's Marcus now?" "He went to the bank to sort it out." He seemed really upset. "Dad, what if someone stole from us? What if—" "Sarah, listen to me very carefully. I need you to meet me at my condo. Right now. Don't tell Marcus where you're going." "Dad, what—" "Please, sweetheart. Trust me. Just this once. Trust me." There was a long pause. "Okay, I'm coming." I called Detective Chen. "Now. We move now." She'd already been waiting for this call. "Teams are ready. Give me the address where he'll be." "Sarah's farmhouse. He'll go there to grab his go bag and run. He knows she's starting to question things." Sarah arrived at my condo 20 minutes later, her face blotchy from crying. "Dad, what's going on? You're scaring me." I'd laid everything out on my dining room table. The folders, the evidence, the photos, the statements from Jennifer, Amanda, and Stephanie. "I need you to sit down," I said gently. "And I need you to listen to everything before you speak. Can you do that for me?" She sat, her hands trembling. "Dad." "Sarah. Marcus Chen is not who he says he is." I watched her face as I went through it all. Every piece of evidence, every pattern, every lie. I showed her the photos of the other women, their statements, the medical reports from Stephanie. She kept shaking her head. "No. No. You're wrong. Dad, you're confused. You've been forgetting things, and you're mixing up." "I'm not confused," I said firmly. "And I'm not forgetting anything. That's what he told you to make you doubt me." "Sarah, that's part of his pattern. Make the victim doubt everyone who might protect them." I showed her the transfer records. Her face went white. "This morning, he transferred another 50,000, I said quietly. "He's getting ready to run, Sarah. Probably tonight or tomorrow. And you'd wake up one morning to find him gone. Your account's empty. The farm listed with a forged signature." She stared at the documents, her hands shaking so badly the papers rattled. "But he loves me. He said he loves me." "He doesn't love anyone, sweetheart. He can't. He's done this 4 times. You're just the biggest payday." Her face crumpled, and she sobbed deep, wrenching sobs that broke my heart. I moved to hold her, and she clung to me like she had when she was a little girl and had nightmares. "I'm so stupid," she choked out. "I'm so stupid, Dad. You tried to warn me and I wouldn't listen. I told you to mind your own business. I said you were getting old and confused. Oh God, what have I done?" "You trusted someone," I said softly. "That's not stupid. That's human. But Sarah, we're not done yet. We're going to stop him." She pulled back, wiping her face. "How?" My phone rang. "Detective Chen. We have him," she said. "Caught him at the farmhouse with 2 packed suitcases and a plane ticket to Costa Rica. We arrested him on felony fraud charges, and we've frozen all the accounts he transferred money to. James, we got him." I looked at Sarah. They just arrested him. She closed her eyes, tears still streaming down her face. The next few days were brutal. Sarah had to give statements, go through her finances, identify what had been taken. The house that had been her mother's, our home, felt violated because Marcus had lived there, planned there, stolen there. But slowly, things started to come together. Bill helped me trace and recover most of the money. Not all of it, some had already been moved too many times, but enough. The farm was safe. The accounts were secured, and Marcus was facing charges not just for what he'd done to Sarah, but for Jennifer, Amanda, and Stephanie too. With all 4 women testifying, the Crown had a case that would put him away for years. Tommy Ng was arrested as an accomplice. Their entire operation fell apart. 2 months later, I sat with Sarah on the porch of the farmhouse, watching the spring thaw turn the fields green. She was quieter now, more careful, but also stronger. She'd started therapy, joined a support group for fraud victims, and reconnected with old friends she'd lost touch with during her time with Marcus. "I keep thinking about the butter tarts," she said softly. "How he made that whole story about his grandmother teaching him the recipe. It was all just manipulation, wasn't it?" "Every word," I confirmed. I wanted so badly to believe someone could love me like that. Perfectly. Completely. She looked at me. "That's what he sold me, Dad. The fantasy of perfect love." "Real love isn't perfect," I said. "It's messy and difficult, and it requires work. But it's real, and you deserve that. I'm not sure I'll ever trust like that again. Maybe that's not such a bad thing. Trust should be earned, not given freely." She leaned her head on my shoulder. "Thank you for not giving up on me, even when I pushed you away. You're my daughter. I'll never give up on you." We sat in silence for a while, watching the clouds move across the Fraser Valley sky. "Dad," she said eventually. "Yeah? You were never senile, were you?" "Not even a little bit," I smiled. "Sharp as ever, sweetheart. You let him think you were. You played him. I learned from the best. 30 years of criminals trying to outsmart me. He didn't stand a chance." She laughed, the first real laugh I'd heard from her in weeks. "I love you, Dad. I love you too, Sarah." The trial was set for fall. Marcus, or Michael, as we knew him now, would face justice for all 4 women, and Sarah would heal. It would take time, maybe a long time, but she would heal. As for me, I'd learned that retirement didn't mean stepping away when your family needed you. It meant using everything you'd learned over a lifetime to protect the people you loved. The farmhouse would stay in the family. Sarah would keep her veterinary practice. And I'd keep being her father, watching her back, trusting my gut. Because sometimes the old cop knows exactly what he's doing.